Hey guys, it's Ben, the Coin Geek at Old Pueblo Coin, and today I wanted to talk to you a little bit about safety deposit boxes and whether or not you should use one. So it's a question that we get a lot, especially from people who buy bullion, but also if you have just family heirlooms that you want to hold on to, whether or not you should buy or rent rather a safety deposit box at a bank. And there are, I don't know that there's really a right answer to this, but I will say that there are things that you should really consider to both sides. One, of course, is well, if you don't use a safety deposit box, where do you put your stuff? Well, that in and of itself is an entire show. But generally speaking, if you are smart about your assets and you have trustworthy people in your lives, you should be okay in general. Now, I know a lot of people don't live someplace that's as safe as others, or maybe you don't have family that you can trust. So there's that. But as far as keeping them in a safety deposit box, keeping your valuables and collectibles, uh, here's some of the pros for keeping them in the safety deposit box. Uh, they're very secure. I mean, really, if you look at all of the safety deposit boxes all over America and you look at if they've been robbed successfully at all, you'll find that they actually have a very nice long track record of being safe. This is definitely a good thing. If you're doing estate planning, there is a certain amount of convenience to having it in a location that is known by the family and is also secure away from their reach until such a time as you really want them to have access to it. So it acts kind of like a third party to have that there. Of course, there is a downside also. One is that you don't have access to it 24/7. You only have access during banking hours. The other one, and this is probably to me the biggest one, and there's the biggest misconception, is that the banks do not have any liability for your goods that are held inside the bank vault. Um, I had a customer who had a safety deposit box and he opened it up one day and there was standing water in his safety deposit box. And the bank's reaction was, sorry, that's it. I mean, they had nothing else to say. So they were not liable at all. And he had collector coins in there and they weren't slabbed. They were, he had albums. And so everything was getting wet and it was really a bad deal. Um, Something else to consider is possibly the unseen. And to me, there's always been a little bit of an X factor with having your stuff out of your possession. And that is to say, I just spoke to somebody who was going through the whole COVID pandemic situation with their bank. And some of you may want to try this if you haven't. A lot of banks have gone to by appointment only. And he wanted to access his metals and he couldn't. They said, oh, yeah, it's by appointment and you can come in 7 days from today. Well, 7 days from today isn't going to work if you're trying to do a transaction today, and so this is something that having it out of your control is something to consider when you're looking at a safety deposit box. So all in all, whether or not you use one, there's a lot of X factors. There's no knowing um, necessarily that there's just a right answer. You have to consider the other side of things if you don't have a safety deposit box. But I just wanted to focus on safety deposit box, a few pros and cons, and there is something to be said on both sides of it. So leave your comments down below and let me know what you think, whether or not it's safe to use a safety deposit box or not. I'm Ben the Coin Geek, and you can subscribe by clicking on the button in the corner and watch more videos on the right side of the screen. Thanks.